Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of AMC Entertainment, ticker symbol AMC. And so I am doing a special stream today, actually two of them. One for the first hour the market is open, and then I will be streaming again for market close, streaming power hour. So make sure you tune into that. I do think this week is going to be a pretty important one as far as where stocks are closing. Yeah, because I think moves like we've seen here with AMC and GameStop over the past week, I do think we will see a continuation of those moves, perhaps next week or the week after, perhaps today. So yeah, I just wanted to be covering it a little bit more closely than I have been. And I should also note that I do ticker request live Sundays, every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune into that if you'd like to, get my take on some of your favorite stocks. And if you do enjoy this kind of content, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, and always, I love to hear from you guys, whether that's in the comments or the live chat. Let me know your thoughts, and I will share mine. But yeah, before market opens, I do have the chart here on AMC looking at the 10-minute time scale. And one thing that happened during pre-market that, I was wondering if it would be happening up here, and it actually happened during the pre-market. We hit a low of $4.18. I kind of gave a price range in the last video of about $4.20 to $4.30. So I'm wondering if the bottom is in and or near. I imagine it's near for AMC and GameStop. And that level that I had suggested, 420 to 430, is really based on the daily chart. If we look at this, zoom in here, we can see this purple downtrend that is based on these two pivot highs over here, going back to the end of August of last year, as well as November 6th. And from that, we can see that price has gone up well above that level, which was prior resistance, and we are now pulling back. And the level that would correspond with testing that purple downtrend as support is right around $4.20 to 30 cents. And so I think it's really good that we're pulling back to that, finding it as support, that it would be referred to as a retrace to the scene of the crime being this purple line, and coming back to that and testing it as support could be really good for the next move up, which I suspect will be going higher than $12, $13, as it did hit, I believe, $13.30 in the pre-market. And so that's really just based on establishing a floor higher than the prior floor, which was at $2.38, really consolidating around $3 a share. And if we do look over at the 10-minute time scale, take a step back, we can see that the high was $3.30 during the pre-market on May 14th. So just a few days ago. And right now we are seeing price coming down in the pre-market. So it is quite possible we see a red day for AMC as well as for GameStop, but I don't think that this is over. I think this is really just the beginning of a new cycle of moving higher. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it. And so here's the AMC chart. I'll just flip over to the GameStop chart here. They did announce, both companies have announced over the past week, selling of shares to raise some capital, which I think is good for the businesses, but it does kind of suck for the share price. But we can see GameStop has had a pretty massive move, going down more than 20% in the pre-market. But, we are, working with these levels. And, I did note, let's see, I'm going to switch over to the daily time frame. And looking here, when we were consolidating over here, I did suggest some of these levels could be popping up as being important. One of those being $24 a share, currently trading below it. Another one being $30 a share. Excuse me. And I was hoping that we would be seeing a reclaim of these levels as support. Unfortunately, we're currently trading below them, but hopefully we can close the day at least above $24. I would really like to see it above 30. And part of the reason for that is the max pain, which I'll flip over to in a second. But I did also just want to point out, too, this orange line here at $18 a share. I was suggesting in a couple, I think actually last Friday, the video I put out, that these levels might be important, the colored ones here. And yeah, if we do pull back to $18 a share, I do think that we will find a lot of support there. I was expecting this volume profile to really be sticking out with this volume shelf around 18. But if we do dip to 15, it does look like we've seen a lot of consolidation there. So that could be acting as support. And so, it's like when we do get a lot of fear, when things pull back like this, that's actually the time to set the fear aside and buy the dip if we want to, if we feel like it, or, just wait for it to rally back up. I do think that will be happening. But anyways, I'm going to switch this back to the 10-minute time frame so we could look at that. One thing of concern, maybe this is a bear flag, so keep that in mind. We might be going lower. But for both of these stocks, I did want to mention the max pain. And so for AMC, I do have it for today, May 17th. What are we looking at? So we want to be seeing a close today above $4.50. Ideally well above. That would be good. Could be suggesting that we would be seeing more gamma squeeze action or squeeze action to the upside maybe next week or the following week. And so getting a close above 450 for AMC would be really good. But I imagine this max pain will be updating when the market opens. So we will want to keep that in mind. And then also I'm going to go over here, the GameStop max pain for the day. This has been going up pretty steadily. Yesterday it was at 22, now it's at 25, and price is currently trading below max pain, so not looking so great. But we could actually look towards the future to see what the next max pain is for next week, $21 a share. I think that's a level that we could be reclaiming and then maybe trigger some squeezes for the following weeks. But I am just going to, actually, I'll leave it at 24th for next Friday because then I'll come back and refresh the page. But here, and refresh the page after market opens. But here, so AMC for next week, $5 a share, max pain moving higher. So hopefully we can be getting price to go higher as well. And it does look like we have about 2 minutes before the market opens. So yeah, we'll want to be keeping an eye on that. And then other tickers that I do have on the side here, one is Plug Power. I did kind of expect a bottom to be forming around now with the potential for some pretty big up moves. I didn't expect the up moves to be coming so quick. So from the lows here of about $22.26 going up to the high, that's an over 125% swing. And then I believe there was an even lower low just recently. 226 was that previous one? No, actually, that was kind of a double bottom here. Low, let's see, $2.26. So, yeah, we've seen some pretty nice moves to the upside. Actually, yeah, going back to here, that's over 100%. So pretty good, but I do think that the moves to the upside will be continuing as we have seen pretty big rallies following mid-May in the past. And big picture, we have really broken out of this falling wedge and with this other falling wedge after it. So I do think if we do see a pullback, I think it's dip buying opportunities before some big upside. Hey, Ben, what's up? Good morning. And then I did also get a request for, no, I haven't gone over Kraken. I've really just been talking about AMC and GameStop, but I will switch over to Kraken. This is pretty crazy. Did, pull back from the highs of yesterday, but right now at 42.43 cents trading in the pre-market. Just going to switch over to I'm actually going to do the 1 minute time frame because we have about 1 minute before the market opens. And yeah, it doesn't really actually, I might switch over to the 5 minutes so we could see the high from yesterday. Yeah, it just looks super volatile. I'm not in this one. And by volatile, I mean volatile to the upside. Does look like it is respecting this uptrend as support. And so I suspect it will be breaking higher, likely eclipsing 53 cents today. So I think this could be, a pretty big winner, but also very risky. Like I said, I'm not participating in it, but I know that some of you are. So I did want to go over it. It was requested in the comments from the stream a couple nights ago, I believe after the stream had ended. So, I didn't want to cover it here. And 30,000 shares free and clear. Yeah, I imagine your average is pretty low. Congrats on that. I know you know how to manage your risk, so I won't say anything about that. But yeah, definitely risky. If anybody's establishing a position up here, risk is pretty high. But I know Vincent was talking about this yesterday, and so able to establish a nice position there. And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Market Open. It just happened, and we are seeing Kraken taking off 47, 48, 46. Pretty volatile, as I had mentioned. GameStop and AMC are down as we open today. It looks like GameStop's down about 20%, not too surprising, right around $22, so it's actually come up a little bit from the pre-market lows, as well as AMC. Yeah, look at this Kraken. This is pretty remarkable on the 5-minute time scale. So we're probably going to be seeing, I imagine, within the first maybe 5 minutes, the market is open, getting above 53 cents a share. So pretty exciting, but also pretty risky. Hey, Jose, what's up? Yeah, pretty exciting times, whether that's to the upside or the downside. And I think that anything that has really pulled back, I do think that we're looking at dip buying opportunities. And yeah, within the first 5 minutes, we're going to see Kraken eclipsing yesterday's high, already eclipsing that. Yes, we see the ticker marker here for the top. And so that is just squeezing up over 130% so far on the day. Congrats to anybody in this. I am not, but I'm happy to share. And so let's see, a high so far, 57 cents. I haven't looked at levels that seem like they could be resistance, but when stuff is this volatile, it's kind of tough to tell what might be resistance. And so I'm just going to add, I see some request for SMX as well as Blink. Oops, didn't have my fingers lined up there. And BLNK. So I'll add those to the request list. And I'll wait maybe just a couple more minutes to see how this first candle ends up. Would be cool if it's at the very top. This quite possibly could be going to like $1. Who knows? I'm just throwing that out there. I have no idea. But yeah, anything that moves this much is very risky, so do keep that in mind. But I do find this uptrend to be pretty nice. I just drew this kind of rough on the chart, but from yesterday's open through the after hours and pre-market trading, the price has respected this uptrend. I wonder if it will throughout the day. And so this chart is on the 5-minute time scale. If you do want to replicate this uptrend on your own chart, might be a good one to keep an eye on. If it does break, I think it's at this point, who knows when it would break. And if it's breaking towards the end of the day, I would think that 44 cents might be acting as support, because we do have some tops here, as well as the candles over here that do cross that. So something to keep in mind on the 5-minute time scale. Yeah, I can't have the volume profile here. Actually, it looks like, while it does pick up a little bit here, we do have a pronounced volume shelf coming out really beginning around 28, 29 cents. But I think this is probably going up more during the day. But like I said, I'm not participating in it at this point. A little too risky for me. But everybody manages to risk differently, so maybe it's something of interest to you. But yeah, let's see. We've got probably like 30 seconds left in this minute. Let's see. About 15 seconds before this candle closes. It'd be really cool if it closed above 53 cents. I would be impressed by that. About 5 seconds left for this candle. And on to the next one. Okay, still looking good though. But on that note, since we have completed that candle, I am going to switch over to some other tickers, one being SMX. I did cover this maybe a month ago, but I have not since. Does look like these levels that I drew may be significant. 1960, 2170, really, having tested those during the pre-market, we can see that the high was 21.02 cents. And I'm actually going to switch over to the daily time frame so we can see what those levels that I drew on. So yeah, I guess I had done this video when it had hit a bottom around 12 cents. As you can see, I do have this Fibonacci retracement going down to that level. And actually, with this trend line here, I must have made this video no earlier than the end of March. It does look like it has respected this uptrend, but then did it get a fake out break below it, but then to test 12 cents, really coming down to a low of 11.2 cents, that being the dip buying opportunity of a lifetime. As this is going up, I could see it pulling back to test this uptrend as support, or perhaps this downtrend that could be coming down to 15 cents. Worst case scenario, maybe 13, 14 cents. And if that is to happen, that again could be another dip buying opportunity of a lifetime, because my understanding is this stock might be taking off. And yeah, if it is bumping its head around 19, 21, 22 cents, then, a pullback might be a great opportunity to not let this one pass you by. But like the other one, I am not, like Kraken, I am not involved in this one either. Just happy to share it. And then, really beyond these red and yellow levels, the 236 from this retracement that I've done is at 23.71 cents. So that's another level to be keeping in mind if we can be getting closes above that. Not just a wick above, that doesn't really show strength, but if we can get a close above 24 cents, really, I think that would be looking pretty good. Or 25 cents, thinking about it in a quarter of a dollar, that would be pretty good. And so this is what it's doing in the pre-market, pulling back a little bit. But, first 15 minutes of any trading day, it's always kind of unpredictable. And I'm just going to catch up on the comments here. And so a lot of Vincent saying that, well, there are a lot of whales in on this, and some of them are taking profits at 50 cents, but who knows? And he is referring to Kraken. But, second 5-minute candle for the day, now we're getting to 60 cents. So pretty big, even if, buying the dip here, just from open, the lows from, open, that's about up 50%. So pretty crazy, but also pretty risky if this does pull back. But it does seem like, actually, I would think 60 cents is probably a pretty tough level to be breaking above. SMX, my biggest hold at the moment, says Vincent, has 51% ownership of a gold mine. That's a pretty good thing to have right now. And partners with Doobie, I'm going to take 1/3 to cover. Take 1/3 sale to cover, and referring to, I believe, SMX. So yeah, always good. Whenever up a lot, always good to trim. Don't need to sell, a whole position. But I think trimming, whether that's in dollar cost averaging or trimming out of a position, can be a really nice way to protect gains and also lower risk. If it does dip more, then you got more capital on the side to buy the dip. But it's, bookkeeping and stuff makes it a little more tricky. I keep track of all of my trades in a spreadsheet. So whenever I do trim in or dollar cost average into or trim out of positions, I always keep track of that. So it's kind of a pain for bookkeeping. I discourage myself from doing that because of the bookkeeping, but I think it's the best way to protect gains and to manage risk. And so here, looking at Blink on the 5-minute time scale, does look like it's pulling back. I am going to flip over to the daily time scale just because that's where I've done all of my analysis. And so with this, what I see, especially with the week closing, with this candle, this was on Tuesday, gap up, inverted hammer candle. I believe I should switch over to the internet to look up shooting star pattern. Yeah, so that looks like it's a shooting star here. I like these graphics. And so that's just basically an inverted hammer. Inverted hammer is really like the generic term for this, but I believe an inverted hammer would be like at the bottom of a trend, whereas this at the top is shooting star. And so that's kind of what we saw here. That could be also a gravestone doji. Let's look at that. Gravestone doji. Oh, let's see. Let's just look at images. And that is, yeah, we can just see this is a gravestone doji. That does suggest reversal. And so we did see that. While it's not exactly a doji because the open and close were not the exact same, but with this pattern that does suggest down, like a reversal following this up move. And so with this candle being red so far today, first 15 minutes, so who knows, that could change. And really just seeing this wick high up to $3.52, that is like the key level that we need to be seeing closes above for this to continue. And since we haven't been able to see that, while we have seen higher closes than this close, I feel like that's really kind of when you start to see a high going so high like this, $3.52, and then you see closes the following days above that day's close, I feel like that always ends up being kind of a signal to me that it's like, oh, well, retail is going to think that higher closes is good, that this is going higher, but actually higher closes on days where price comes down, another gravestone or shooting star pattern here yesterday, getting those higher closes, it seems bullish, but there's still this wick high of 352. And so I feel like this is a way for, the big firms who have the capital to be pushing things higher or lower by removing their positions. I think this is kind of a way to suggest to retail, oh, this looks like it's good because there are higher closes, but in fact, it's looking pretty weak because it's not able to get a close above this high. And so I think that this is just like these are little signals suggesting that the top is in. Green candle this day. It was green on this day. Big volume up on that day. So that looks good. But then we've seen like a diminishing of the volume the past couple days. Kind of flat actually, but low the past couple days. This day is not over yet, but I suspect that this gap will be filled to the close from Monday, which was $3.10, might be pulling back to $3 a share or $2.90 here, where we do see some consolidation here and a volume shelf corresponding with that. Also being the 382 from this retracement, although I could extend that up to here. But yeah, so I feel like I am more bullish on Blink than I was before, as I did think this was a descending triangle pattern. It does look like it has tested that as support and has bounced, so I'm more bullish on it, but I do think it needs a cool off. And also, we do look at the RSI here. We did put in a higher high in the price, but a lower high as we see that RSI pulling back today. So that's a lower high that is bearish divergence. And so I think that the RSI as well as the stock price both need to be cooling off. So I could be wrong, but if one is green right now, might be a good time to trim to wait for a buyback. I would think at least coming back to $3 a share, if not lower. $3 corresponding with this 236. So that does seem pretty reasonable in my opinion. So Kraken, I'm not sure. I saw the 100% on the day, but it has actually pulled back a little bit looking at the 5-minute time scale. But that could be a healthy pullback, but it does have a big wick up, not being able to get to 60 cents. Just going to catch up on the comments and let Vincent's letting 1/3 ride. So I think that's a good thing. Trim positions as they go up and then have a portion of it to just forget about. And Oleg, what's up? Can I check on HOLO? It's jumping 60% up and down, swing trading. Congrats on the swing trading. I have covered this recently. I am not involved in it, but happy to cover it. Looks like it's kind of flat on the day. But yeah, look at this pre-market rally going up 40% just between the after. Well, I guess this is all pre-market. Wow. So that's pretty volatile. And yeah, has seen some, yeah, even though this big move, a lot of bag holders still probably up in this range. I flip over to the daily time frame so we can see that retracement. Did it a while ago. Actually, no, I guess I just recently did this one. But yeah, what was the high in the pre-market? $2.69, switching back over to the daily. Man, I don't like how it zooms out so much. $2.69. So yeah, that was getting up to nearly the 50% retracement here. Maybe I should switch over to the hourly time frame. Maybe that's a better way to do this. Yeah, and I guess this could be extended up to 422 if I wanted that retracement, but I just have it based on the market hours pricing. And so yeah, price nearly got up to that 50% retracement, $2.73. And it looks like, yeah, I've got this level here, the 1618 from a previous retracement extension coming down. So that's at 188. I think that's going to be an important level to hold. If it can't hold that, maybe throw up the volume profile. I was thinking there might be a little bit of something here, but there's just too much consolidation above it. 175 could correspond with the top of that, but if that can't hold, I would say a breakdown to 156 might happen, but maybe we do get some violent moves to the upside. Always tough to predict when this stuff is going crazy like this. But yeah, I mean, it does look like it is respecting that 188. There is a bounce there. Hopefully that bounce is met with a good amount of volume. We actually see more volume on this red candle to the downside, coming down almost 7%, and the volume the past 15 minutes, I guess really 12 minutes, not looking too strong, putting in a big wick here. So yeah, if it can't hold 188, I would say 175 is the next level down. But always potential for this to keep going higher like it was before. SNDL, I will cover that, of course. I am probably going to be doing a cannabis video over the weekend because there are just so many stocks to cover in there. I thought I added SNDL. I guess I just searched it but didn't add it. Weird. There we go. I didn't hit the return button hard enough. But yeah, so with the cannabis stocks, I heard that there was a declassification, or that they have been rescheduled to Schedule 3. I haven't looked into that much. I was probably going to do a video on cannabis tomorrow, going over all of the stocks and ETFs. But my impression, because, yesterday it went up 3%, I would have expected a bigger move to the upside. And so I feel like what we've seen here, these are rallies going on because of the rumor, buy the rumor, sell the news. It sounds like we just got the news. And I've been surprised that there hasn't been more move to the upside, although I would kind of expect that if it's a sell the news event, you'd expect a pullback. So I've really been surprised that we haven't seen a pullback. It's been, in my view, more or less flat. But if we do consider the high from May 14th, $2.93, that's a pretty big wick to the upside. We were able to get a close above the close from, let's see, that was Tuesday. So the 14th, the close was $2.62, whereas yesterday's close was $2.65. So again, just like what I'm talking about with Blink, when you see a big wick high like this and you're not able to get closes above it, but you're able to get closes higher than the close from that day, I think that looks bullish to retail investors, getting in higher closes, but not being able to close at higher levels. Like closing above 293 suggests that there are not enough buyers up here to be pushing the price higher. And so we do see pullbacks when price gets up there. And so I could see that a local top is in. And let's see, if we do look at, I'm talking about this high of $2.93. I'm just going to put a line on here so I don't forget to mention it during tomorrow's video when I go over all of the cannabis stocks. But for this, we can see that we've put in a higher high in the stock price, whereas the RSI, we're putting in lower highs, or have put in a lower high. And really, there are multiple highs down here. That's just downtrending. And so, while it might seem bullish that the RSI is still below 70, it's not in that overbought territory. We're seeing lower highs in the RSI, higher high in the price, and that is bearish divergence, suggesting that a top could be in. And following this news that I believe I may be mistaken, but my understanding is that cannabis is being rescheduled to a Schedule 3 from a Schedule 1 drug. And with that news, there could be a pullback, which I think would be a healthy pullback for more rallies. And I do think that the rescheduling of cannabis is really like a political move, this being an election year. The incumbent president wants to get voters to back him. And one way to do that, to get young voters, I would imagine, is by saying, hey, we're declassifying this, we're making progress on cannabis. And those younger voters, or, really any range. I realized in the last election cycle that I'm actually not a young adult voter anymore. I'm just, an adult. And so I think that there's a pretty wide range of people who are in support of cannabis. And I think that's just trying to increase the fan base, but there are plenty of things going on like that. I do think cannabis will be benefiting from this being an election year, whether it's incumbent or, I guess really it might be not two incumbents, but two prior presidents potentially, competing. And so I think both of them, anyone running for president, will want to be pushing forward these things that so many people care about, like cannabis. So I could see this going up much higher, the whole sector this year. But I do think that we might see a little bit of a cool off. And then when we start to get some news or rumors about states legalizing things like that, I think that could then be pushing it higher. So yeah, but right now, I am just like with blank. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a pullback, but that's not to say I'm not bullish. I just think that good, healthy corrections are needed in order for things to be able to sustainably go higher. I think Blink, I think Sundial and cannabis in general will be sustainably moving higher this year. Same with Plug. And that's one that I think is going to be moving a lot higher this year. Just like, we saw AMC and GameStop squeeze up here. I think that this is really just the beginning of rallies that we will be seeing over the next 1 to 2 months, perhaps longer. And so I was planning on establishing a position, and I actually did swing trade some over here. Should have held them, but I probably wouldn't have sold up here. I swung based on a covered call and just an in and out, made $44. So no emotions there. And now I was planning on getting a larger position, but with all of the craziness going on, I'm probably not going to be diversifying too much, but I do have my eyes on $3 a share for Plug. And if it doesn't hit $3 a share, I'm just going to buy one share and then establish more on dips, or maybe every week add a little bit more to that. So nothing crazy. I'm not too crazy when it goes to my positions, unless, just with a select few stocks. Can't be crazy with all of them. Can't be overloaded with all of them. So hopefully that was helpful with Sundial. I just think a little bit of a cool off on the cannabis sector might be good. Yeah, and so JRL is saying Biden rescheduled 3 on cannabis. He gave us his word. Okay, yeah, but also too, politicians and their words, it's like they'll give you their word as long as they get the vote or something like that. I just over the past few years, politicians, it's a game for them. So, I just think cannabis is looking pretty good. And I could actually look up a news article on, cannabis rescheduling. And so Justice Department takes major step towards rescheduling of marijuana. So still it's Bloomberg says marijuana rescheduling to class drug 3 drug plan advanced by Department of Justice. DEA's historic move to reschedule cannabis is no panacea. I don't know what that means. Monumental steps forward towards easing marijuana rules, makes historic marijuana rescheduling announcement. This is from Marijuana Moment, And in all honesty, I don't know which one of these is going to be the most credible source. We'll see about this one. And so Biden makes historic marijuana rescheduling announcement, applauding monumental move to reverse longstanding inequities. And President Joe Biden has announced that his administration is officially moving to reschedule marijuana under federal law, applauding the monumental action that follows an extensive administrative review that he directed. And so, I feel like this is all very, this is from a marijuana site. So you know what their interests are. It's not a political or, mainstream media or anything. Justice Department will soon post its proposed rule to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. So this is still just the rumor. This is still kind of in the buy phase, and we're not at the sell the news point just yet. So, but I think that a cool off could be healthy before continuing higher. And so bullish on SNDL. I am too. I don't have a position in Sundial. I have a position in Tilray, which is unfortunately not as large as I'd like it to be. So next week I'll probably be looking to add. I might just, I'm going to do a little request for myself. I'm going to throw Tilray up here just to see what that looks like. And one of the ones that I do find to be a little bit, it's like when something moves a lot in a sector, but the other ones don't move as much, that could be like a good cause for concern or to be cautious. And so like Tilray hasn't moved that massively, whereas Sundial has, whereas CGC has. We look at their chart and it is pretty strong looking as far as the upside goes, but it's already filled up a lot of that space to the top, whereas Tilray has not as much. So I think there's potentially more upside potential with Tilray, but maybe it's just not as big of a mover. Whereas CGC is 839 million, Sundial 705 million. So Sundial and CGC are a little bit more similar. Tilray is notably larger, about twice the size. So that would make me think that it's probably not going to be as volatile. And so that's partly the reason why I chose Tilray in the cannabis sector, because I think it's just going to be a little bit more stable. But they are businesses, and while a sector can be doing well, a business could make some bad decisions that drive its price to go lower. And so actually some of the ETFs might be good, and I'll go over those during the cannabis video tomorrow. So make sure you check that one out. I'll go over CGC, Tilray, Sundial, and then the two cannabis ETFs. And then Stuperstonk Zach Stuperstonk / Zach Morris saying PEGY is next, is what Roblox Gamer is saying here. And so I will pull up PEGY to see what this is. Pineapple. Oh, this is hospitality. I've stayed at their places before. I'm just going to make sure this is the right place. Is a domestic operator and consolidator of. Oh, this is not the hospitality place. This is residential solar, battery storage, and grid service solutions. Definitely something that we need. Grid service solutions in the U.S., improving that infrastructure. And so today, it's up 22.77%. Candle's not finished. The trading's not finished for the day, but that does look like these big wicks to the upside could be putting in topping signals. But that's not to say that a bigger picture run is not over. May very well be. And so, just trying to think about, what are some levels that we could look at for a retracement. Let's see, to not assume that the bottom is, that the top is in, I might do I don't want to do a measurement. I want to do a retracement. I might do a retracement from here, this little peak. This was at a high of 97.99 cents. I'm going to have to adjust that. And then I might take it down to, this is not going to be too useful. But maybe from this, with it right here, maybe 26.5 cents is going to be some resistance. Above that, though, there is this gap, so maybe it would be coming to there. But yeah, I'm just going to do this maybe to the low before the drop here. Can I think, let's see, what was the low on this day? 45.05 here. A little bit lower right before the drop. So I'm just going to do it here, a little bit approximate, and then I'm just going to add the extensions to it, and I'll add the 2618 as well. And so let's look at that. Maybe that does suggest where support or bottom might be found. Oh, I'm doing this to the wrong direction, so oops, that was stupid. But yeah, like I said before, let's see, just gonna undo that. 26 cents, there might be some resistance there based on that Fibonacci retracement. But yeah, there is this gap to the downside now, so maybe looking at the volume profile, yeah, I mean, even all of this price action down here, I assume this is all-time lows. There is this gap here, so maybe price could be coming down to 9 cents, and that would be, if not in this and thinking it is going to be going higher, maybe 9 cents is a good, maybe 10 cents is a good level to consider establishing a position and then see where it takes you. But yeah, right now, the trading day is not over, but it could be a topping signal. And on the note of the trading day not being over, just going to switch over to the 5-minute time scale. And, no highs in the pre-market or after hours from yesterday, but the high so far of the day, 21.49 cents. But we've only been trading for about 32 minutes so far, so this could definitely be going higher. So good to keep an eye on it. Maybe there's, let's see. Yeah, maybe there's an uptrend level here that we want to keep our eyes on. And I would say maybe from this little high here that was formed in the pre-market, or that was the after hours, I guess, from a couple days ago. And yeah, this does seem to coincide with a bunch of wicks coming down, a little bit of a fake out break here. And so I could see maybe price, as long as price is closing above 16.5 cents today, and it's not closing below this uptrend, I think that could be suggesting there's more upside, but with that gap, there could be, a pullback, so be careful with it. And so Dean is saying, PEGY going to run like FFIE. And yeah, so I think I should note maybe the market cap here, 17 million for PEGY. What's the market cap for FFIE? I think that's kind of a factor of why some of these can run so much. I saw something, I believe, about FFIE many times over their the shares, the float traded in a day. And so looking at this on the daily time frame, this, let's see. So if the market cap right now is 113, let's see. This is coming down here. So that's like maybe a good way to, from over here up to the highs. That's, wow, yeah. So that market cap was, I think, like 10 million or 10 to 20 million, something like that. Now it's over 100. So yeah, pretty crazy. But this, while it's up now, it may be putting in a topping signal. We do see that as price has been going up over the past few days, so not including today, the volume has been going down, and that could be suggesting that a top is nearing, but that top could, price could still be going higher. The volume for today is not complete. As long as the volume is lower than 1.14 billion, that would be suggesting some weakness because volume is diminishing as price goes higher. When you get a divergence in the volume relative to the price, that does suggest a reversal or a move to the downside, I should say. So when volume is going down while price is going up, that suggests a reversal. When price is going down but volume is going up, that suggests a continuation to the downside. So divergence in relative to volume, that suggests downside. And pineapple. Lamar loves you, likes pineapple. Yeah, so, trade at your own risk. Be careful. Up 25% on the day. But, this trend line, I drew it on the 5-minute time scale, but that might be a good one to keep in mind. That's what I would look for. I'm not involved in the only ones that I've talked about on here that I'm involved with are Tilray. I have a pretty small position. Plug, I'm looking to establish a position, as well as Blink. But I feel more confident in Plug than I do with Blink. But I also have exposure to charging stations with ChargePoint. So I'd rather kind of diversify and look to something like Plug than adding to establishing a position with Blink. And I, of course, do have AMC and GameStop. And I'm going to chat about GameStop and AMC a little bit because AMC is up about 1% on the day, really battling. I imagine it will be battling with $4.50 as that is the max pain, or at least was prior to the market opening. And so GameStop here battling with 21, coming down following, the pre-market or beginning in the pre-market, down 23% right now, but maybe the bottom is in. Let's see. So I might want to look over at the max pain for both of these. Just going to refresh these pages. So GameStop, it was 25 before. It still is 25, whereas AMC, just going to refresh the page. That is 450. So GameStop needs to move up about 25% to be above that max pain. May not happen today. And so this might be, kind of a cool off week from the big run that we've seen, or maybe next week we would be seeing kind of a cool off, but then we could be starting to see some more volatility the following week. So that's kind of what I would expect. And so I think next Friday will be especially important for these stocks to see where they're closing. But AMC currently being above that max pain. If GameStop cannot close above max pain, but AMC can close notably above it, I think that they could be playing back and forth with that, because I think GameStop closed well above their max pain a couple weeks ago, a couple Fridays ago. And I think that's really kind of what triggered, all of this momentum that we've seen, or, was one of the catalysts at least. So I am excited about both of these. I think that the dip to 418 was a steal. Saw somebody posting, I believe Mac Attack sometimes joins on live streams and stuff, and has suggested a lot of interesting tickers, but he was suggesting AMC could be coming down to $4 or $4.10. I could see that as well, but I could also see that those levels not get hit exactly, and so maybe 418 is the bottom, and that could be a great opportunity before we see a retest of $12. And I think that we would be reclaiming 11.43 as support. And so, I'm really excited about AMC and GameStop. I think that this pullback that we're seeing is just another opportunity for retail to participate in this great thing that we're seeing. And so let's see. HOLO testing $2. I feel like next 100% runner as volume going in, says Oleg. And so let's just flip over to, let's see, HOLO. All right. Yeah, I think that when we see big moves up like this and then consolidation at a higher low, to me, and I could be wrong, that makes me think that this is just setting up for the next leg up. But it might be stair-stepping relative to these Fibonacci levels. But with that, that's forming a higher floor, so then that would allow for a higher move to the upside. And so, $2 just being a psychological level. Everybody's going to be placing their buy orders at 2, or maybe stop losses at 2. People who had bought at $5.50 or sub $2 might say, hey, I'm going to let it run, but I'm going to set my stop loss at $2 a share. So those orders were hit. They were filled today. So I think that is just a pretty important level, $2. We think in whole dollars. We like zeros and we like fives. So, or halves, I guess I should say. That's why we like the fives. And Ben saying Blink is now over 330. The max pain for the stock is $3. So it does look like, the first hour of trading, it's always kind of tough to see. I'm just going to copy this and then I'll put another tab over and do that. I'm just going to change this. I guess you can't see what I'm typing up there, so I'll type it here. Blink here. And so, yeah, max pain for Blink, like Ben said, $3 for this week. So, yeah, I mean, if it's closing above $3, if it's closing above max pain, if it's just a little bit above, it's not really that significant. But if it closes a notable amount above, this would be like 10% above, if it closed at this price, that could be suggesting some more momentum next week to the upside. So yeah, I mean, I like you had said, Ben, I believe that you're looking for $6 a share. Really, it's almost doubling what is currently at, more than doubling from down here. And yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's feasible. I don't know how sustainable it would be if price does get to $6 a share, because maybe that's on a squeeze and it pulls back. If it's, violent to the upside, it's going to be violent to the downside. But I could see that, a lot of these stocks, I think that the bottoms are in with them. And that extends to like NEO, other stocks that I've covered where I've pointed out, plug this, falling wedge pattern. GameStop has the exact same thing, much longer term. But yeah, I mean, this nice falling wedge here, going back to highs that were hit at the end of 2021. And so we see a wedge breakout here, smaller time scale. And so this, I mean, let's see. This from the bottom here to the top, that is 110%. And then so from the bottom here to what we just saw, what percentage move is that? Just out of curiosity here, that's about 60%. So 110, and then 60. And so if I look at GameStop here, going from, let's see, I know it's not lined up exactly, but I'm just going to do from the low here up to the high there. That's 200. Maybe I want to go to this 130. And then the move that we just recently saw is going to be, I think, 500%, over 500%. So yeah, I mean, I would think that the move for Blink, if this is a true breakout, is not over. I do think that it could be retesting these levels to the downside, but so, have a plan for if that happens, but have a plan if it doesn't happen as well and it just goes higher. Managing risk is always a good thing. And so this has gone up 60%, maybe a good price, from the lows here. Maybe I'll do it from the lows here at 218. What is a 100% move from those lows? That is right around $4.40. So that from those lows, that might just be a psychological level that anyone who bought at the exact bottom, they'd be 100% up and maybe would trim half of their position to then only be playing with house money. So something to consider there from the lows over here more recently. Or if let's see, maybe I want to do a volume profile. So the volume traded, right around 250. I think that's a fair level with this volume shelf there. If I take a measurement from 250, what's 100% of 250? We know the answer to that. It's $5. So I think $5 will actually be a notable level of resistance, because if there are a lot of people who are able to get their average right around 250, maybe take half off the table when it gets up to double that price. So yeah, just be brace for either direction, be able to add if it comes down, be able to hold, at levels like this in case it does go higher. So yeah, I mean, I'm very intrigued by Blink, but I've mentioned that I have ChargePoint. I actually haven't been paying attention to the chart too much because it just doesn't, the videos that I've done on ChargePoint just don't get too many views. Always get a lot of requests for Blink. Let's actually kind of compare the charts. They look pretty similar. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, I have done more analysis, I would say probably on a ChargePoint. There's this head and shoulders pattern. Let's look at that measurement of that move. So from the top to the neckline, did that predict, the lows? We actually surpassed them. But that was going down to a price of $1.40. So it's kind of a nice tell there that price might be going down. And we did see that retesting that uptrend as resistance, not being able to get above it and then breaking down, this being a bear flag before continuation lower. So is there something similar with BLNK? Yep, head and shoulders. I pointed this out. I made that video of, like battling with the devil and stuff. But the downside move, this was May 15th. ChargePoint, it just had a little bit of a different structure. And so, yeah, May 15th it was already bleeding down. So, yeah, interesting to compare and contrast. And with that being said, ChargePoint hasn't really performed as well as BLNK, both of them being in the charging sector. And so with that being said, maybe BLNK is due for a little bit of a pullback, while ChargePoint could use a little bit more of a continuation to the upside, maybe break above this purple line. And so that might coincide with BLNK moving higher still, but maybe it could correspond with them, coming back to be more at equilibrium relative to each other. So yeah, but both pretty interesting charts. So let's see. Sarah is long PEGY at 18 cents. And so that's basically current price. So good luck to you with that. I feel like, the trading day is not over yet. But, I guess the way that I would think about it is here on, this is Tuesday, you got a big green move up 47, almost 48% on the day, closing at the highs. So the high of the day and the close, exact same price. That suggests that's going to continue. And then here you get a gap up, a little bit of a pullback, and it goes higher. This spinning top doji with a big wick to the top. Closing price was near the middle, so it's kind of indifferent, a little bit indecision there. Could be suggesting a reversal, but then we see an open higher, but there's not a gap higher. So it is losing some momentum. Here you have volume increasing since Tuesday, and now on Friday today, the day's not over, so we can't really judge the volume, but volume does seem to be diminishing there. So the top could be in, so 18 cents might be a risky level. So I would just say if it does pull back, be in a situation where you can get your average down, or have a plan for if it does, let's say, fill this gap. And so if I look at the 5-minute time scale, we can more critically consider the volume, but I might actually adjust this to exclude the pre-market. I'm not exactly sure how to do this. Let's see. Extended hours. I'm going to omit the extended hours so we can just look at that volume. And so, we can see that, yeah, we've seen the spikes in volume, but from this gap move up, relative to what we're seeing now, higher price but lower volume, that doesn't suggest a lot of strength. I'm just going to switch over to the hourly time frame. We haven't quite yet put in the hour, maybe for the first hour of the trading day. But yeah, actually, let's see. Looking at it like this, so this is from 16th, so yesterday. Yeah, so the volume from yesterday at 10:30 in the morning versus 10:30 in the morning now. So this candle's not yet complete, but the volume is much lower, price is higher. So that doesn't suggest a lot of strength. So I wouldn't be surprised if the top is in, at least for the short term. And so while this may rally to, let's say, double the current price, just throwing that out there, no idea. This could be, a top before a pullback and then resettling, finding support, and then continuing higher. So as far as like opportunity cost goes, this might be a pretty high price because there might be a couple of week wait before the next rally up. So yeah, because if this does pull back to fill this gap, let's say, that's a discount of 50% from current price. So let's see. So yeah, that's 50% down. So, that may not happen. It seems like there's still a lot of momentum in it. So I suspect this gap may not be filled, but I do think depending on what the close looks like, what the candle looks like for the day, it could be closing down. But, on the note of being cautious, I see Ben, I see your comment and the other comments. Let's see, Mikiko. I will look at your requests 1 second. I do just want to flip over to AMC because it is now, up almost 3% on the day. Look at this. I find this really remarkable about this one. It on Tuesday hit a low that corresponded with this white downtrend, and that's really just this channel that I've been looking at that I didn't think was really that significant, but I just kind of kept it up there, for reference. That price is kind of traded around that level. Maybe I just want to expand it, and maybe that provide better insight. Maybe that's the midpoint of the channel. But yeah, we're now above that, respecting it. And if this closes above 450, maybe if this closes in the $5 range, in the fives, that could be I set up really good. I think this is a dip buying opportunity for this one. But, I am biased. I have a position in AMC. I was adding on the pullback following this big red candle. And yeah, so I was expecting AMC to close above $8 a share this week. I had actually sold some covered calls last week, expiring today with a strike of $8. And I have been preparing for AMC to close above 8 if I do have to, if those shares do get assigned, I want to be able to have as many shares as possible before that assignment. But it seems like AMC may not be closing above 8. But if it does close above 8, we're going to be seeing another wild week coming up next week. So be prepared for that. And so, okay, Mikiko, I will look at Cura, and I have gone over Sundial, and I'm going to be doing a Cannabis update tomorrow, so I might not go over Sundial again here. I will put timestamps after the stream, and so you can go back and look at that. I mainly do most of my analysis on the daily time frame, even during market hours, so there should be some thoughtful insight there, but I will do a Cannabis update video tomorrow, so do wait for that. Oh, and I should, let's see, I'm going to delete some of these from the list over here. Let's see that I've covered. And I'm going to add PEGY to the DGen Ed list so I can revisit it. And so yeah, I got that cleared up a little bit. And I am going to add Ben's request AVRO. So I'll look over that as well, but I'm going to just go in order. So I'll first start with Cura. And I do also want to note, I have been streaming for about an hour now. At 30 minutes after the hour, so it's like 10:30 Eastern, I'm going to close the stream down so I can add timestamps. And then so I still have, energy to stream for the power hour, the close of the market, which will continue into the after hours. So I just don't want to exhaust myself going live for too long today. But yeah, anyways, Cura, did I add that here? Is this what you're talking about? I don't see. I must have added that incorrectly. Curaleaf. Sorry, I got that incorrect. It looks like it's an OTC stock, so I don't think I can trade it. But where did it go? Curaleaf. There we go. All right, so I'm surprised it's $5, almost $6 with it being over the counter. Those are usually like pennies. Yeah, this looks like, looking on the daily chart, this looks like maybe there's some, it's a little bit wishy-washy. Maybe what I want to do is draw a parallel channel. Maybe that would be a little bit better. So maybe from the lows here to the lows here. And yeah, I mean, that's a little bit rough, but it's just kind of an approximation to kind of visualize that this is trending up. And it has more or less bounced some breaks, but short-lived around this trend line. This does go back to 2022, the end of 2022. And so with this right now, let's see. lower highs, and been putting in higher lows with the RSI, or with the price, and pretty much flat with the, or there's no divergence either direction. Yeah, I mean, I could see this testing approximate, the top of this channel. That would be coming to a price of like 630, but I could also see it pulling back to maybe the midpoint like it did here. But really, it's like this, goes up to around the midpoint, pulls back, and then goes all the way to the top. This pulls back to, below the base of that channel, pulls up to around the midpoint, or goes up to the midpoint, pulls back, and then goes all the way to the top. And then so here, it's gone up to about the midpoint, kind of hovered around that range for a little bit, then gone up to the top. Maybe we're seeing a bounce here. I could see it coming down to, let's see, right around $5 a share, and maybe testing the bottom of this channel around 430 before continuing to get up to the top of the channel. That would be around 650. This would be around the middle or end of July. So there's a possibility there. Looking at this on the 5-minute time frame, is there anything that I see? I actually feel like if there's not enough volume traded on, the volume is pretty light, 50.9K today. And so, yeah, but I mean, we have seen price coming down here. Volume is pretty light. So, but yeah, with these up moves, the volume on these up moves is relatively smaller than it was over here. Let's see, maybe I want to switch over to the daily time frame. Yeah, so let's see. This is actually good volume for this, so that does look strong. Yeah, I mean, I could see it retesting 640, 638 again, but I do think that might be followed by a retest of the base of the channel, or, there'd have to be a lot of strength to see a breakout. And then if there is a breakout, like there was here, you'd want to see a retest of that level. Again, this is just being approximate, and then really confirming that breakout by retesting that level and then bouncing. And so, yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting chart. Like I said, I don't think I even have access to trading this because it is OTC, but maybe it's an interesting one. I don't know too much about the stock, but it does look like there's Jeffries raised target price to $23.60 from $23.40. So who cares? That's 4x current price. So still a lot of upside. Let's see. Look at the analysts. A lot of them are saying buy, and the analyst target, it says here $7 a share. And so, yeah, I mean, this is just based on 12 analysts. This is just coming from Webull. So good to take with a grain of salt, but maybe that's helpful for you. And so I did go over. And so, yeah, see, why are you wasting time with AMC or GameStop? Why are you wasting time with that comment? Obviously, I like not covering them. It's not a waste of time for me. I enjoy it. And so, Nabil Ashraf, money already made. Congrats to you on that. And then let's see, Cannabis. I've already gone over. Oh, I thought it said SNDL, Mikiko. Sorry. TSND. So I'll add TSND here. That's another over-the-counter. And then Intel. And Ben, I will get to yours as well. But I am going to probably go through these a little quicker towards the end just because I don't want to be streaming forever. And so Terrascent, that does look like it is a Cannabis stock. And so with this, yeah, market cap 451 million, so it's not like terribly small. Yeah, let's see. Weekly time frame. I mean, this is a pretty big down move and all this consolidation. Let's see. I would look for a close above, like a weekly close above like 250. And then I would think that that's a signal that this downtrend has broken. But then, of course, you want to look for confirmation, which would be another close above that level, higher than that prior high. But this high from the week ending December 9th, that is $2.49. So if we see a weekly close above 250, that could be the beginning of a break. As we've seen some kind of attempts to get to that level, like right around here, we couldn't reclaim it. And so getting close above 250, that could be, the break is in now, the sky's the limit for it. So I'd look for a close above 250, a weekly close. Really, because this has been consolidating down here for so long, I would look on the weekly chart. Any intraday stuff, you could get a wick above this level and then a pullback, and then you're buying the top. But a weekly close above 250, I think that would be the signal that this has broken this trend and is going to start going higher. So keep an eye out for that. And then let's see, the other one is Intel. That looks like it's pretty much flat on the day. I've drawn this retracement previously. And so going from the lows that were hit, approximate lows, not to the penny, on middle of October of 2022, then going up to the recent highs hit at the end of the year. We have pulled back to the 786, and that is at a price of right around $28,950. Did get a bounce from that level, and there is this gap up here. I would expect to see some resistance around the 618. That's around $34.20. The reason for my expectation of there being resistance there is because there's this gap to the downside. So anybody who is buying before earnings, seeing this green candle coming up, thinking, oh, this is going back to the moon, I'm going to load up on it, establish a position. Those people are then thinking, oh, wow, it gapped down. I've been underwater for a month. As soon as it gets back to my average, I'm going to exit my position because I was wrong. I didn't understand what was going on. So I could definitely see there being resistance around the 618. But I do think that the bottom could be in, given that it has arrived at the 786. And so really just moving forward, it will be a challenge. It will be tough for it to be breaking above $34. But once it can and reclaim that as support, I think it'll just be stair-stepping its way back up. So I do think that $30 could be a great dip buying level for the stock. But, it is a very large market cap, 136 billion market cap. So it's going to be slow to move, I would say. So good to keep an eye out on that. Dividend looks like it was just issued. So that's an appealing aspect of the stock. So something to consider there. And then, sorry, Ben, I will get to your comment on AVRO. And that is over here, looking on the daily chart, looking like it's down 2.88% on the day. Here, what I see is like from the high over here that was hit on February 10th, it does look like you can adjust this a little bit, wiggle room. So maybe we're not above that level, or maybe we are. And I could see that potentially as a breakout. This is following earnings that came out on the 9th, big up move. Yeah, so this potentially looks like it's breaking out of this downtrend and closing the week. I'll just flip over to the weekly chart so we can see that. Yeah, I think that this is looking pretty strong. Anytime prices come up to that level on green candle weeks, this for the first week, the Friday of November, that was up about 4% on the day. And then here on January 5th, or that closing the week that Friday, up 8% that day, but not being able to really break above it. And here, actually, I'm surprised. Oh, yeah, this is week. So this week, up almost 10%. So looking strong. And if I do adjust this line, make it a little bit more credible, let's say there are no closes above this level. There has never been a close above this level. And on that point, I will draw it to a penny. So here, the high over here, 193, and then here, the high is 161. So that's on November 3rd, the week of November 3rd. And so that's, 161. Wait, no, not the high, the close, 158. And so I'm going to adjust this to the penny over there and 158. So it's basically drawn right. And so from that, no closes above that level, did get some wicks above, did get an open above, but no closes above. And so my perspective is like if we're being most conservative with that line, so like, if price were to close at 130 today, 132, that could still be above that line, but really the center of that line would be right around, 132. But I would say a conservative level, we want to see a price closing today at or above 133. And if that is the case, that's the first time we've closed above this downtrend, and it could be breaking out. So AVRO, looks like it's a biopharmaceutical company. It's Avrobio. That does seem like a pretty cool breakout. So good call there, Ben. I would say I don't have a position in this, but if I were to establish one or put a bet on it, I'd say that this could be breaking out, but we'd also want to see, confirmation of that breakout. Maybe we get a close above this week, but then next week we get a close below, and that would be negating that bullish sentiment. And so whatever the high is for today, if that ends up being $1.39, we want to see a close above $1.39 next week. If the close is above $1.33 today, and then that would be confirming the breakout. And then from current price, I could see it going up to where there's this bit of consolidation here. That's around 350. And so you can do the math on that. And this is actually pretty compelling. I might have to do a video on this one because I am intrigued by it. Just as, a fun play. And maybe, I don't know what the options look like for it, but that's a 160% move to get up to there. We look at the volume profile. All of it's going to be down here, but we do see a little bit of a lip right in there, and that corresponds to this consolidation here. Really, this is a bear flag coming down, consolidating, moving lower. And so the base of that's where we're going to start to bump our heads. And so I think that this is great potential for a breakout. Good call, Ben. I like this one a lot. And and so I've got some more to follow up on. Let's see. Polestar smash today. Let's see if Polestar is the next FFIE. And so I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to add AVRO to the DGen Ed list. And I'm not going to remove it from the watch list here or the request list because I want to do a video on this. And so Oleg, I see, Terrascent. I've done Terrascent. I think I've done all of those. Hopefully I've done all the ones that have been requested up above. And so I'm going to add Polestar and Semiconductors. I'll switch over to those. Sorry, YJH and Oleg, going over Polestar right now. So let's see. This is down 6.25% on the day. Going to switch over to the hourly. And for me, 116 might be pulling back to that, which is 52-week low. I believe that's the all-time low. But yeah, I mean, it's pulled back a pretty good amount. Maybe there's a double bottom formed right around 116, 120, the low today, 118. So I could see potential double bottom formed. Looking at the weekly time frame, does look like a lot of consolidation here, but that is consolidation following this down move. So there could be a bear flag. That's on the weekly though. But on the daily, I think that this is right around, the best price you can get so far looking at the chart. If I do extend this channel further over, it's really just going to show that price right now is in the red. And so, if you want to be swinging this, you want to be buying in the red region, selling in the blue region. And so now that it's dipped to be in the red, it might be a nice time to begin establishing a position in case it does go lower, allowing that wiggle room to be able to get the average down if it does come down to this 1618 here at $1.13. I could see price coming down to that level. And if we do look, let's see, are there any signs? Here it looks like this might be like kind of a double top on the smaller time frame. And so maybe we'd see a double bottom here. With this double top, the RSI corresponding with approximately the high in the price, 49, whereas just recently 49.91. And that's actually lower highs in the price, higher in the RSI, but very small differences. That is hidden bearish divergence. So not too surprising to see this pullback. But if price does, this is what I would look for. I tend to forget to put this into videos, so it's always good to tune into the live stream for this purpose. We see the low here of 116, and the RSI on that day is 28.67. And so right now we're looking at a higher low in the price and a higher low in the RSI. But if price then dips to below 116, but the RSI remains above 28.67, that would then be bullish divergence, and the bottom could be in. So yeah, I think that Polestar could be, nearing a bottom. Is it the next FFIE? I have no idea. Very different sectors and whatnot. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that Polestar is a compelling company. I don't know too much about FFIE, Faraday futures. So so something to consider. And let's see. Semiconductors is next. Yep, and then I'm also going to bring up Ben's point here, I think kind of in response to an earlier comment. Covering any stock is not wasting time because our focus is on technical analysis with some fundamental analysis. There is always a new insight and perspective to be learned that is universal. Yeah, so whether I'm talking about AMC, GameStop, for me, if I actually don't talk about them too much because I don't want to discourage or push away viewers who are not interested in those, but I don't talk about squeeze potential necessarily. I try to talk about what we're seeing in the volume, what we're seeing in the RSI, what we're seeing in the candle patterns, and that is universal. That's applicable to any stock. So whether it's an inverse head and shoulders, double tops, whatever it is, those are all applicable to stocks. And I've definitely seen a number of patterns repeated that do play out nicely. So that's kind of what my focus is on. Just technical analysis. Stocks, the stock itself doesn't matter unless one is invested in them. And, I am invested in some of these. And so my thoughts on semiconductors, and I believe, let's see, and I will catch up on some of the other comments. I just don't want to lose track of the requests. So Nameless was asking to follow up on semiconductors. And so my thoughts on these, I'm glad you did ask because I was saying that it looked pretty weak here, but then price has gone up. And because my focus really over the past week has been more on AMC, I kind of shifted a lot of my attention to that and haven't been paying attention to semiconductors. I still think it's, the top's probably in. We see not getting up to that high, volume is lower. So we're struggling to get enough volume to push up to that level. And and with that, we still have lower high in the price, which is also corresponding to a lower low in the RSI. So there's no bearish divergence there. But with this, we see higher low formed and it's lower. So maybe there's some bullish divergence there, but then we have seen this rally. But yeah, I mean, volume just needs to be able to push it higher than 239. And so I am looking at SMH. This is the ETF, one of the ETFs that tracks semiconductors. Another one is SOXS, SOXX. And this one also, volume coming down. So while price is going up, volume's going down. Because we saw like this peak here, and that was like a high in the volume. I don't know if you can see that if I zoom in a little. And so this is, a high volume relative to what's around it, but relative to the high over here, it is lower. So it seemed to me like kind of weak that we weren't able to get above that. Also on this pullback, higher volume on this pullback, and then lower volume with price going higher. I think that this is going to roll over. I think that the rally that we're seeing is playing with our emotions. I said, I believe on Sunday's stream that I think semiconductors are coming down and then price goes up. And, that's just playing with our emotions. Oh, I'm wrong. Bigger picture, I'm not going to be wrong. And this is just a dip buying opportunity if one is short semiconductors, which can be done with SOXS. Currently 28.90. I think this is a great dip buying opportunity. I wish I had more powder on the side, to be adding to this. But for me, I will probably just chill. I'll get more on the side through selling covered calls and stuff, and then be able to add to this. But yeah, SOXS, I am bullish on this, and we can see actually if this ends up being the low and we do get a bounce, this is a higher low with the RSI. We also do have a higher low. So maybe we do need to see this low 27.28 be taken out. As long as the RSI is holding above 26, then I would think that is bullish divergence and the bottom would be in. This consolidation that we're seeing following this down move could be a bear flag, and then we could see a dip below 27. RSI is currently 36, 38, days not over. But if the low that it needs to stay above is 26.01, I think there's definitely some wiggle room for price to dip down to 27.28, maybe $27, getting a lower low in the stock price, but a higher low in the RSI, and that being a great opportunity level. So I'm compelled by this still. I'm bullish on shorting semiconductors, or, in short, I am short semiconductors here. Yeah, this is just, look at this at the same level, basically put a flat top there. This is a triple top that we're seeing, and volume. We saw a big peak here with NVIDIA, and then on this low, on this pullback day, closing below the 236 here, we saw an increase in volume as well. This pullback from the high, we saw an increase in volume. So while we did see a higher high, we did see a pullback. And then volume since then, I can just draw a downtrend from the all-time high. We are putting in lower highs in the volume and lower highs in the price. And so that I just think that this is losing its momentum, and it's eventually going to be rolling over. And testing these highs is really just to get people who, when they saw the news headlines, oh my God, NVIDIA is hitting all-time highs, semiconductors are hitting all-time highs, I missed it. And then they see this pullback and they say, now's my chance, I can get in. And then price starts to go up. People say, yes, I made the right decision. I'm going to add to my position because it's going to go higher than 974. But then we don't see that happen. Or maybe we do, but then we start to see large firms liquidating their positions and this coming down to maybe the 50% retracement, which corresponds with just being above this consolidation here, coming down to $541 for an NVIDIA. So maybe we see that, maybe we don't, but I do think it's risky, and I think that it's safer to be shorting semiconductors right now. And so I'm just going to scroll back up through these comments. And so Makiko said, thank you so much, sir. If you have time, or maybe in your next ticker request, would like to ask about BITF. And so I'll add it to the list here, but I'm going to close the stream down and I'll go over BITF, Bitfarms, which I've covered before. And so I'll go over that during the power hour, whether I do that in the power hour or after the market closes. Happy to go over it. And so you can just, I'll keep it on the list. And if you join, great. If you can't join, I'll cover it before that stream ends at some point during it. And then Ben's following up on Avrobio Incorporated, a clinical stage gene therapy company, develops hematopoietic stem cell gene therapies to treat rare diseases in the United States. Its gene therapies employ hematopoietic stem cells. Its gene therapies employ hematopoietic gene cells that are harvested from the patient and then modified with a lentiviral vector to insert the equivalent of a functional copy of the gene. What have I been hearing about this time of the company in terms of its future demand? I don't know anything about Avrobio, but just looking at the I'm in semiconductors. Dang it. So did I add some Bitfarm? I added it to the wrong list. I am in the semiconductor list. I am going to go over to the request list and add Bitfarm so I don't forget. And then so Avrobio, I just think that this looks like short term. It has, and this is listed on the NASDAQ. Good. I was worried it was OTC. Short term, I mean on the daily time frame, it looks like it's broken out or breaking out of this wedge. If I flip over to the weekly time frame, it looks like it's going to be closing the week, first time ever closing above this downtrend based on two specific pivot points, based on, my screen went dark here a little bit, the high from February 10th, 193 to the pivot point close of November 3rd, not getting any closes above this downtrend. On the weekly time scale, we might be getting a first weekly close above it, and just the potential here. I mean, this could be going up to $12, $13 a share. What do the analysts say about this company? They're saying it's a hold. This is one analyst, and their target is $2. So that's not as exciting as 13 or even this consolidation level that I had pointed out before at around 360, 370, 350 maybe. But yeah, I just think the chart looks really good for this ticker. Looking at it on the weekly time frame, looks like we're getting a breakout today. And that price, I mean, even just from the high here, that was 193, I believe. Let's see, the high 193. So just, getting from a breakout of this trend line, getting up to that level, that's a 46% swing right there. I think that this looks good, whether you want to swing it, whether you want to hold it long term, learn more about the company, really invest in them. I think AVRO looks really appealing. So thank you for that request. And yeah, Vincent, no problem. I'm not sure what you requested before because I've gone over so many stocks in this hour and a half video, this hour and a half stream. And so on that note, I will be closing this soon. I just do see one more comment from Ben. A UK girl born deaf can now hear unaided after groundbreaking gene therapy treatment. That is pretty cool. And that's one of the things that I find really interesting about how technology is advancing right now, that things that we had thought were incurable may be curable moving forward, or at least managed in a way where people can get back to fully functioning lives. And that's one of the things that I find really interesting about Neuralink is the person, I forget his name, I follow him on Twitter now, but he had the chip in his brain. He is a quadriplegic, can't use any of his appendages, and basically the only movements that his body has are spasms. And he's been able to play games. I forget, Civilization maybe, I'm not sure, using this chip in his brain. And, while it might be silly, I feel like a lot of people will be like, oh, what's the insignificance of having a chip in your brain to play video games? Well, this is a guy who can't get up and walk around. And even just playing a game using like his blow and suck straw for moving his wheelchair around. He could play games, but he gets sores sitting in the same position. And so being able to play a game, he could be more comfortable just using his mind and not having to sit up. And while that may not seem significant, that gives him some activities to be able to do. And especially paired with a company or branched from a company like Tesla that's developing Optimus, a humanoid robot, maybe that humanoid robot or an arm from that humanoid robot could be controlled by a Neuralink chip, because that's really just a computer controlling it. And whether that would be a robot arm that could be attached to somebody's bottom if they were missing an arm, or if that could be configured so it would be an attachment to somebody's body so they could then move their body parts. I wonder if that could stimulate parts of the brain, parts of the spinal cord, the sensory, I'm not a neurologist or anything, but if that could stimulate the perhaps regaining of the ability to control parts of the body, that little bit of stimulation. It's, so much of the science we understand, but then there are also parts of it where, new things are discovered by trying new things. And I think that there's a lot of stuff like that with science right now, with medicine. And I just think it's such an exciting time to be alive. There's a bright future for us. So I'm really excited about that. And, on that note, there is going to be an ad popping up in about 40 seconds, 35 seconds. And so I should probably be closing this down so I can get on with my day. You guys can get on with yours. And I'm just going to throw this up here. If you did enjoy this stream, if you do enjoy the content that I put out on the channel, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be doing another live stream for Market Close Streaming Power Hour, and likely during the after hours session. So do come back for that. And I will be doing Ticker Request live on Sunday, every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune in for that. And on that note, I do think an ad will be popping up in just a second. So I'm going to switch over to AMC and GameStop because I want to. And then we can get on with our days. And so, yeah, here, AMC, looking at the 5-minute time scale. Now it's about flat on the day. So, yeah, 5-minute time scale. I'm not used to looking so zoomed in, but yeah, looking from this big move up, levels that stand out to me. Really, just looking at it from the daily perspective, I see that 420, 430, the low for the day so far, $4.39. I feel like we are in discount zone, and that I feel like this rally that we saw, whether it happens next week or a couple months from now, maybe 3 months from now, I think that we're going to see another move to the upside. And if I do flip over to this rally that we saw, that was a red rally, just a couple days later, we saw another attempt to get to the high. We could be seeing that next week. We've seen other rallies following this consolidation, and we did see a much bigger rally. And so looking at the time frame of that, from that peak to the peak over here, that represents, let's see, 125 days. So it's less than 6 months. So let's see, 125 days. I'm going to just do some math here on my phone. So that is, let's see, 125 days divided into 30 is about 4 months. So 4 months from now, I feel like we could definitely be seeing AMC going a lot higher. And, we did see, following this pullback, that those lowest lows, the discounts, were within, let's see, 3 weeks of that high. So I think over the course of the next couple of weeks, if we're not seeing another move higher with AMC, we could be seeing some great discounted dip buying opportunities, although it might take a 4-month wait to really capitalize on that. So just something to consider. And then looking at GameStop again here, we saw the big high at the end of January 2021, but then we've seen these other rallies following it. So following any big moves and we see pullbacks, I think that there's still going to be opportunities in both stocks, whether it's getting to as high as it was back here at 120, or if it's even getting to as high as it was here at 64.83. If we're not to eclipse this high that we saw here, I think that there's more upside than what we're seeing right now. I think that we are getting near a bottom, and I think that if we do hit $18 or $15 a share, marked by the orange and yellow lines, I think those would be dip buying levels. And just switching over to the hourly time frame, it looks like maybe we're putting in a bottom, hitting a low so far on the day of $19.70, right around $20. Maybe that just being a psychological level, one $20 bill could be support. So good to keep that in mind. When we're up here, it's hard to sell when we're up here because of that euphoria. But when we're down here, this is the time to, not be fearful and to be brave and to appreciate the discount, because it may not last for long. And I don't think it's going to be lasting years like what we've seen in the past. Let's see if I put this on the weekly time frame. We've just seen this multi-year bleed. And so I don't think that we're in a bleed phase anymore. I think that we're in a build phase and that we will be going up much higher. So try to keep your chin up. I'm keeping my chin up. I'm excited about the discounts. And let's see. Thanks again, Sir Mikiko, for adding my request. BTF. Yeah, I will look over that. And if I miss your live, I will watch. Sounds good. And part of the reason why I don't want to have these run so long, this one's an hour and 40 minutes, I can put the timestamps right after I put it out. If I stream for 2 hours or more, it gets really tough to put the timestamps on. So on that note, I am going to close the stream down. It is now 11:01. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you have great days trading and have a wonderful weekend. If I don't catch you in the Power Hour close stream, I'll be posting a link to soon. So yeah, have a great weekend. If I don't see